Thank you. I was not emotionally prepared for tonight. Although I'm not sure how I could have prepared. I should have had more champagne. That's what I should have done. That's something I could have done. If I knew that Steve and Greta were going to be, I knew they would be great, but if I knew they were going to be this great, so charming, so smart, so gracious, so funny, I might have just suggested that maybe I open the night and they close, and then we end on a high note. But here we are. I'm getting the Kirk Douglas Award somehow. Thank you. It's hard to imagine being at a point in my career where I'm standing up here tonight. It's hard to feel deserving of all of this. But I remind myself that the proceeds go to a wonderful cause, so it doesn't really matter if I deserve it or not. That makes me feel better. It's just, that it's Kirk Douglas. He's one of the first true icons of cinema. He not only made some of the best films of his time, but some of the best films of all time. Films that stood the test of time and will continue to stand the test of time, and that is too many times to say time. But the point is that he is completely and utterly in a class of his own, and I'm just Ken. And this honor is for a contribution to cinema. I mean, up until this point, I've only ever thought about just how much cinema had done for me. I had never really thought about what I've done for cinema. Like, as far back as I can remember, for instance, when I was in the 3rd grade, I had a swearing problem. And I didn't think it was a problem, but my teachers did. And, I just thought they were being a bunch of uptight wait. Not tonight, not tonight. I thought that they were being, things that should never be uttered in a wonderful setting, such as this. My mother said it was almost impossible to get me to stop. But I remember the night she figured it out. We were at the dinner table, and she said, "If you swear one more time, you can't watch any movies tonight." And I thought that was extreme, so, I used some extreme language back. She said, "Okay, now you can't watch movies for a week." Well, since she had upped the ante, so did I. I hit her with a quick flurry of my favorites, and then I dropped an F-bomb just for good measure. She said, "Okay, well now you can't watch movies for a month." It wasn't until that exact moment that I realized just how much movies meant to me. It was the worst moment of my young life at that point. Right away, I was deep with withdrawals, lying awake on my sweat-soaked mattress on those cursed filmless nights. My skin was crawling, hallucinations of Blockbuster employees on my ceiling waving VHS tapes at me. It was like train spotting, except instead of diving into a toilet, I was just trying to crawl inside my VCR. She found my weak spot. She knew it. And soon after that, she took me out of school and homeschooled me for a year. With all the swearing and the not being able to read and write very well, I guess she figured that she couldn't do much worse. So part of her curriculum was weekly visits to the library to check out books I had no intention of reading. She had a solution for that too. The library had a collection of films, and she made a deal with me that for every book I read, I could rent a movie. Now you can imagine that a small town and a public library in Canada was no Blockbuster, but I wasn't complaining. I'd take whatever I could get. So I ended up watching whatever they had, which seemed to always be either the Ten Commandments, Samson and Delilah, Abbott and Costello's Hold That Ghost, A Hard Day's Night, Planet of the Apes, and Spartacus. I watched them on a loop. I also got my hands on a bootleg copy of Overboard that my sister had taped at a friend's house, which I worked into the rotation because it had a few curse words and I just wanted to stay true to my roots, you know? I thought I was being very clever by using them as a distraction from my education, but in retrospect I realized that they were an integral part of my education. The directors, Cecil B. DeMille, Arthur Lubin, Jean-Christophe Avarti, Franklin J. Schaffner, Gary Marshall, and Stanley Kubrick were kind of like substitute teachers. The actors, Charlton Heston, Yul Brynner, Edgar G. Robinson, Hedy Lamarr, Abbott and Costello, the Andrews Sisters, the Beatles, Goldie Hawn, Kurt Russell, and the great Kirk Douglas became sort of de facto classmates. They were the only people I hung out with other than my mom. And we would go on these kind of field trips to ancient Egypt, Rome, London, Hollywood, and Alien Planet. And as far as I could tell in Overboard, they're somehow on a yacht in Elk Cove, Oregon. And yes, they were expanding my horizons, but they were also teaching me how to dream. Or how to dream bigger, anyway. Those film experiences, that whole experience, the filmmakers, the actors creating their own stories, my mother taking me out of school to show me how to create my own story. Even at an early age, film had opened a door that led to a world where daydreaming didn't mean you were wasting time, it meant that you were doing your job. A job I could not wait to do, a job I started doing right away. You know, if you count putting on hammer pants and dancing at the mall, or singing When a Man Loves a Woman at weddings to brides during the garter belt ceremony. But I got paid 20 bucks a song, you know, Canadian. So it was like $14.90 American. But it was better than nothing. And it led me to my big next move, which was being the least talented kid in a group of Disney Channel prodigies on the Mickey Mouse Club. And sure, I lived in a trailer park in Kissimmee, Florida, in a mobile home with a gas leak, and I was tired all the time because of the propane inhalation. But I was also one step closer to an even bigger move, which was wearing leather pants as a scrawny kid version of Kevin Sorbo in Young Hercules. Okay, so that door, you know, that open door wasn't an elevator that went straight to the top, but I was able to help my mom pay the rent. And by playing other people, I was learning who I was in the process. I also learned that I didn't just want to do the job anymore. I wanted to at least try to be great at it. And it seemed to me the only way to do that was to try and work with people who were great at it already. People like Greta Gerwig and Steve Carell. Now, it's difficult for me to overstate how much it means to me that they are here tonight. I honestly cannot think of two more gracious and more talented people. I wrote this before I heard Steve's speech, so. And they are also, in a way, they're sort of bookends of my career so far. I was 17 on my first job in Hollywood when I met a young Stephen John Carell. Or is it Carol? Is it Carol or Carell? Carelli? We didn't have scenes together, so I went to set one day to watch him work. He was so damn funny that the boom operator dropped the boom to hold his ribs. That's how hard he was laughing. It's the first and only time I've ever seen someone be so good it was a problem. But what was making us all laugh wasn't scripted. It was Steve improvising. And not just breaking character and clowning around, the opposite actually. It was all still in character. It was all the best ways a scene could evolve if a character was really going for every single little bit of life that the scene would allow. And I realized that I wasn't going to be enough for me to just go to work and say my lines anymore. To even try and operate at Steve's level, I would have to create a whole world for my characters, one that was beyond the page, and be ready to invite others into it at any moment. And even if you never get to share it, you still know it's there. So after watching Steve work in only one scene, I had learned this incredible secret. Well, it was a secret. I guess I just shared it, so... Is that okay, Steve? I don't know. You never said it was a secret, so I just, is that fine? In fact, you've never shared any secrets with me, which is weird, you know? It's like, what are you hiding? And I don't even know where to start with Greta. Even though she was making one of the biggest films of all time, against all the odds in the world, she never allowed the weight of the task to steal the joy away from the moment. She never let the importance of it all cloud what was truly important, which is to never forget how lucky we are to do what we do. I, for one, have been so lucky. I've gotten to go to the moon, be a motorcycle bank robber, a getaway driver, waltz through the stars, be an elementary school teacher, albeit a crack-addicted one, become a replicant from the future, a gangster from the past, a lovelorn stuntman, and most recently, thanks to Greta, a 70-year-old crotchless doll. But most importantly, I got to meet the girl of my dreams, Eva Mendes, and have 2 dream children. I dreamed of one day making movies, and now movies have made my life a dream. So the way I see it, there's no way I've contributed half as much to cinema as cinema has contributed to me. But the idea that I might have given something back to the thing that has given so much to me is too great an honor for me to express. I do want to express my deep thanks to some of the people that have been instrumental in getting me here tonight. My mom, my older sister Mandy, Eileen Feldman and Carolyn Govers, Brian Lord, Ida Zanidi, Robin Baum, Robert Offer, Chris Angulo, Mark Avery, Henry Bean, Derek C. in France, Ryan Fleck and Anna Bowden, Nick Cassavetes, Greta Gerwig, and Stephen John Carell. And thank you to the Santa Barbara Film Festival for this very special honor and for letting me say all of this. And I did it all without swearing. Not even once. So I guess my mom was the big winner tonight. Thank you so much.